The millionaire is shocked to discover the virgin black beggar had his child in secret. Valerie Carter, just trying to make it in Providence, Rhode Island. 32, dance teacher at the YMCA. Yeah, but that was just the surface. Underneath, a whole lot of dreams put on hold. David Blackwood, though, now there was a name. Childhood friend, made good, shipping tycoon. Always been a safe harbor, a lighthouse in her messy life. Rich, charming, out of reach. Until that rainy Tuesday. Let's have a baby, he'd said, just like that. Co-parent. No romance. Contract and all. Sounded crazy, but logical. Generous, even. 6 months later, belly poppin' under her leotard, Valerie was cautiously happy. She was strolling near David's company after the prenatal appointment, the salt air tangling in her hair. Blackwood Shipping and Logistics, a freakin' skyscraper of success. Their agreement echoed in her mind. Respect, mutual goals, not hearts and flowers. But watching the ships, the bustle, a weird feeling crept in. She pulled out her phone, gonna text David. "How's your day?" But stopped. Something felt off, like the air before a storm. Some slick guy in a suit, an executive maybe, walked out of the building. Glanced at Valerie, then quickly looked away. Unease flickered in his eyes. Ms. Carter. Wait! A girl, young, messy hair, breathless, rushed towards her. "You need to know something about David," she whispered, voice shaky. Something about his past. A woman, a beggar, they said, and a secret he's kept hidden for years. It could change everything. Ei, antes de continuarmos com essa história incrível, preciso te fazer um alerta importante. Muitos inscritos têm relatado que o YouTube removeu suas inscrições sem aviso. Dá só uma conferida rápida no botão vermelho aí embaixo para garantir que você ainda está inscrito no canal. Não quero que você perca nenhum conteúdo exclusivo que vem por aí. E já que você está aí, deixa aquele like poderoso que me ajuda muito com o algoritmo. Ah, e me conta nos comentários de qual cidade você está assistindo. Adoro conhecer cada pessoa incrível que faz parte dessa comunidade. Sua participação faz toda a diferença. Vamos interagir. Miss Carter, wait! A girl, young, messy hair, breathless, rushed towards her. "You need to know something about David," she whispered, voice shaky. Something about his past. A woman. A beggar, they said. And a secret he's kept. Hidden for years. It could change everything. Valerie felt her stomach drop. Beggar? Secret baby? This was turning into some daytime soap opera, for Pete's sake. But the girl's eyes? They were wide, with genuine fear. What are you talking about?" Valerie asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Her name was Sarah," the girl said, glancing nervously at the entrance to Blackwood Shipping. She lived on the streets. David helped her. A lot of people said he was too good to be true. Then she disappeared. People said he sent her away. But there's more." The girl took a shaky breath. "They had a baby years ago, a little girl. Everyone thinks she's gone, but she isn't. She's here, in Providence." Valerie's head was spinning. A secret child? David? It didn't seem possible. The man she knew, the man who was so meticulously planning their co-parenting arrangement, he wouldn't hide something like this. Would he? "Look," Valerie said, trying to keep her voice steady, "I appreciate you telling me this, but..." Suddenly, a black SUV screeched to a halt beside them. 2 men in dark suits jumped out. They moved with a speed that screamed security. Miss Carter, one of them said, his voice flat. Mr. Blackwood would like to see you, now. They didn't even acknowledge the young girl. Just grabbed Valerie by the arm, not roughly, but firmly. She tried to pull away, to protest, but they were relentless. Wait! What about her? Valerie yelled, gesturing to the girl. The security guy just gave her a cold look. She's not important. They bundled Valerie into the SUV. As they sped away, she saw the girl standing on the sidewalk, staring after them, her face pale. The drive was short, silent, and terrifying. They pulled up to a private entrance, not the main lobby. Inside, the elevator shot up to the penthouse suite. David was waiting. He looked different, strained. His usually impeccable hair was slightly mussed. "Valerie," he said, his voice tight. "Thank you for coming. We need to talk." "Talk? You have some explaining to do, David. What was that all about? And who was that girl?" David sighed, running a hand through his hair. "That's complicated. Let's just say she's misinformed." "Misinformed? She said you have a secret child, a daughter. Is it true, David? Is it?" Valerie's voice was rising. This couldn't be happening. He looked away, unable to meet her gaze. That was all the answer she needed. "Oh my God," she whispered, clutching her stomach. "You lied to me about everything." "It's not like that, Valerie. I can explain." Suddenly, the elevator doors burst open again. This time, it wasn't security guards who stepped out. It was the young girl from outside, and behind her, a woman. Old, weathered, her clothes tattered. A beggar, but her eyes, they were David's eyes. And then the woman spoke, her voice raspy but clear. "David, it's me. Sarah, I'm home." And right then, another figure appeared from behind Sarah. A girl, maybe 10 years old, with the same haunted, knowing eyes as Sarah. And was that David's stubborn chin? "Daddy," the girl whispered, looking at David with undisguised hope. "Is it really you?" But that's when it happened. Before David could speak, before Valerie could even process what was happening, the little girl darted forward, past David, past Valerie, towards the window that stretched from floor to ceiling, offering a breathtaking, terrifying view of Providence, and no safety glass. "I want to fly like you," she shrieked. And then she launched herself at the glass. The world seemed to slow, the shattering sound, the horrified screams, the sickening feeling of weightlessness as Valerie knew with chilling certainty that everything had changed. The father of her baby had a secret family, and that family was now falling from the sky. "I want to fly like you," she shrieked. And then she launched herself at the glass. The world seemed to slow, the shattering sound, the horrified screams, the sickening feeling of weightlessness, as Valerie knew, with chilling certainty, that everything had changed. The father of her baby had a secret family, and that family was now falling from the sky. But wait, it wasn't what it seemed, not even close. The shattering sound, it wasn't glass, it was something else. A vase? A lamp? Something heavy. The little girl hadn't jumped. She'd tripped. David reacted in a split second, faster than Valerie thought humanly possible. He lunged, snagged the little girl by her flimsy dress, yanked her back with a force that made Valerie wince. The girl screamed, not a shriek of joyful abandon, but a terrified wail. David hauled her into his arms, holding her tight. Sarah rushed to them, sobbing, reaching for her daughter. The relief in the room was palpable, thick enough to choke on. Valerie's knees buckled. She sank into a chair, her hand pressed hard against her stomach. Oh God, the baby! But the shock wasn't over, not by a long shot. David was holding the girl, whispering reassurances, but his face, it was changing, hardening. His eyes, fixed on Sarah, were cold. "Get out," he said, his voice dangerously low. Sarah recoiled like she'd been slapped. "David? What?" I said, "Get out. Both of you. Now." "But the agreement," Sarah stammered, tears streaming down her weathered face. "There is no agreement," David snarled. "There never was. You were a mistake, a weakness. And this charade ends now." He looked at Valerie, his expression softening, almost pleading. "Valerie, I can explain. Please, just let me explain." Valerie stared back, speechless. What game was he playing? 1 minute, loving father. The next, a monster. And then it hit her, like a punch to the gut. The girl. She hadn't jumped. She'd almost jumped. It was a performance, a manipulation. And David, he was in on it. But why? Why put on this elaborate show? Suddenly, Sarah straightened, her eyes flashing. Gone was the pathetic beggar. In her place stood something else, something calculating, something dangerous. "You think you can just throw us away, David?" she hissed, her voice suddenly clear, strong. "After all these years? After everything you promised? You think you can just buy me off? You underestimate me." She reached into the depths of her tattered coat and pulled out a gun. Not a cheap Saturday night special, a sleek, expensive-looking pistol. "I should have done this a long time ago," she said, her voice shaking. "You owe me, David. You owe us everything." David's eyes widened in genuine terror. This wasn't part of the plan, whatever plan there was. "Sarah, no, don't!" But it was too late. Sarah raised the gun, aiming it not at David, but at Valerie. "You think he loves you?" she spat. "You're just another pawn in his game. He'll use you, just like he used me. But I won't let him win, not this time." And then, before Valerie could scream, before David could react, the little girl spoke, and what she said changed everything. "Mommy, no. You can't shoot her. She's my sister." "Mommy, no. You can't shoot her. She's my sister." The room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. "Sister? What in the actual?" Valerie stared at the little girl, then at Sarah, then at David. He looked like he'd been struck by lightning. His mouth was hanging open, his eyes wide with, was that fear? Sarah's hand wavered, the gun trembled. She looked at her daughter, a flicker of something almost human in her eyes. "What did you say?" Sarah whispered, her voice cracking. The little girl, bless her heart, just looked back at her mom with these big, innocent eyes. "I saw the pictures, Mommy. The ones you keep hidden. Daddy showed them to me once, a long, long time ago. He said we had another sister." and that she was special. Special? Valerie wanted to laugh, but she was too numb. Special like about to have a baby with your dad? Special like caught in the middle of some psycho family drama? Then Sarah did the unthinkable. She lowered the gun. "Pictures?" David croaked, finally finding his voice. "What pictures, Sarah? I never." But Sarah wasn't listening. She was staring at the little girl, her face crumbling. He told you about her?" The little girl nodded. "He said she lived far away, but that someday we would all be a family." Valerie's head was spinning. This was officially the craziest effing day of her life. But as she looked at David, something clicked. A memory. A fleeting glimpse of something he'd said months ago. Something she'd brushed off as a weird joke. He said his first love was named Valerie too. It came out a whisper. David's face went white. "That's right, isn't it, David?" Sarah sneered, the gun now dangling uselessly at her side. "You always did have a thing for that name. Couldn't let go, could you? Even after you got rid of her." "Got rid of her? What the hell did that mean?" Valerie's breath hitched. Then the room started to tilt. Everything went fuzzy around the edges. She felt a sharp pain in her stomach, like a knife twisting. "David," she gasped, reaching out to him. What's happening?" But he didn't move. He just stood there, frozen, his eyes locked on Sarah. And then the world went black. When Valerie came to, she was lying on the floor. Someone was shouting. She couldn't make out the words. Her stomach was killing her. She blinked, trying to focus. David was kneeling beside her, his face pale. Sarah and the little girl were gone. Valerie, can you hear me?" David was saying, his voice frantic. She nodded, wincing. "The baby, is it okay?" He hesitated, just for a second, but it was enough. "David, tell me the truth." He took a deep breath. "The baby's fine, but there's something you need to know. Something I should have told you a long time ago." He looked around, like he was afraid someone was listening. Then he leaned in close, so close she could feel his breath on her ear. "My first love, her name was Valerie, and she didn't just go away. I killed her." He watched her eyes, the guilt in her soul. Valerie stared back. "I'm going to be a mommy. My first love, her name was Valerie, and she didn't just go away. I killed her." He watched her eyes, the guilt in her soul. Valerie stared back. "I'm going to be a mommy." "Wait, what? Killed? Killed someone?" "Another." Valerie. This wasn't just some fling, some secret kid. This was murder. The room swam. Her head pounded. Everything felt wrong, twisted, like she'd stepped into a funhouse mirror version of her life. "You what?" she choked out, her voice barely a whisper. David just stared at her, his face a mask of regret? Fear? She couldn't tell. He looked like he was about to crumble. It was a long time ago," he stammered. "It was an accident, I swear." "An accident? You don't accidentally kill someone." What kind of monster was she sleeping with? Carrying his child? Then, a voice, small but clear, cut through the haze. "He's lying." It was the little girl, Sarah's daughter. She'd reappeared in the doorway like a ghost. Sarah was right behind her. Her eyes narrowed, but not on David, on Valerie. He didn't kill her by accident, the little girl continued, her voice surprisingly steady. He planned it. He told Mommy all about it. He wanted her gone, so she couldn't tell anyone. Tell anyone what? Valerie's brain was working overtime, trying to piece it all together. This was beyond crazy. This was nightmare fuel. Then Sarah spoke, her voice low and dangerous. He wanted to be rid of his first love because she knew about his daddy's true business. I'm sure he'll do the same to you, Valerie. Don't you see? Daddy? Valerie's mind searched back to things David had told her. Conversations where he had said cryptic things. Daddy worked in logistics. He knew all the ways to move things. People. She knew it had been dangerous, but nothing like this. The room felt colder, darker. She looked at David, really looked at him, and she saw it. The coldness, the ruthlessness. He wasn't just a shipping tycoon. He was something else, something sinister. But then the real bomb dropped, and that's when everything became clear. Sarah stepped forward, her eyes locked on Valerie. You remind me so much of that girl. Her tone was cutting and almost evil. He had her killed, so the family money was kept in the family. She smiled a horrible smile. Because, sweetie, David is a Carter, and his daddy is the head. What? The realization hit Valerie like a tidal wave. The Carters? The Carters? The wealthiest family in Rhode Island? The ones who owned half the damn state? David was one of them, and she, Valerie Carter, the dance teacher from the YMCA, was carrying their grandchild? This wasn't just a bad romance. This was a blood feud waiting to happen. Then Sarah pulled something else from her coat pocket. Not a gun this time. A cell phone. She pressed a button, and outside, sirens wailed. Getting closer. Fast. I called the cops, Sarah said, a grim satisfaction on her face. I told them everything. About him, about his family, about everything he did. David went white as a sheet. He looked like he was about to pass out. You wouldn't, he stammered. Sarah just laughed. Oh, I would, and I did. The sirens were deafening now. They were right outside the building. Suddenly, the door to the penthouse burst open, and two cops walked in. The policemen were both Carters. She saw the way that they looked at David. This was all a part of some game. The policeman cuffed him and hauled him outside. As they dragged David away, he looked back at Valerie, his eyes pleading. Valerie, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. But Valerie didn't say anything. She just stared at him, numb. Then, a woman in a dark suit rushed in. She went straight to Valerie. Miss Carter, I'm Agent Reynolds, FBI. We need to get you somewhere safe, now. And as they led Valerie away, she saw Sarah and her daughter standing by the window, watching her go. Sarah smirked. Looks like the game has changed. Was this the end? Or just the beginning? The next stage was about to begin. Miss Carter, I'm Agent Reynolds, FBI. We need to get you somewhere safe, now. And as they led Valerie away, she saw Sarah and her daughter standing by the window, watching her go. Sarah smirked. Looks like the game is changed. Was this the end? Or just the beginning? As Agent Reynolds guided her through the chaos, Valerie felt like she was moving through molasses. Everything was a blur. The flashing lights, the shouting, the way everyone seemed to be staring. They hustled her into a black SUV. No small talk, just a grim-faced driver and Reynolds, glued to her phone. "Where are we going?" Valerie managed to croak out. "Somewhere safe," Reynolds repeated, her eyes never leaving the screen. "A secure location." "Yeah, right. Safe? Like anywhere could be. Safe after that circus. The Carters, murder, secret babies, FBI, her life had officially jumped the shark. The drive was long and silent. Valerie tried to piece things together, but her brain felt like scrambled eggs. David was a Carter, and he'd killed someone. And was she even safe with the FBI? Were they in on it too? Finally, they pulled up to a nondescript building. No signs, no markings, just a heavy steel door. Reynolds flashed an ID, and they were buzzed inside. It was a small, sterile room with a metal table and 2 chairs. "Joy," Reynolds told her to sit tight, then disappeared down a hallway. Valerie sat there, alone, trying not to panic. She rubbed her belly, whispering reassurances to the baby. "We'll get through this, little one. Somehow, we'll get through this." Then the door opened. But it wasn't Reynolds. It was him. David. But it couldn't be. She remembered the police taking him. How could he possibly be here now? He looked different. Bruised. Beaten down. His fancy suit was rumpled. His hair a mess. But his eyes were pleading. "Valerie," he said, his voice hoarse. "I need to explain." "Explain? You need to explain how you're not in jail. You need to explain the murder. You need to explain everything." He took a step closer, reaching out to her. She flinched. "I know it looks bad, Valerie, but you have to believe me. I was framed." "Framed? By who? Sarah, the little girl?" "Please, David, I'm not stupid." He shook his head, his eyes desperate. "No, not them. By my family." "Your family? But why?" He hesitated. Then he took a deep breath. "Because of you, Valerie. Because you're carrying their heir." "Their heir? What was he talking about?" "The Carters. They're not just rich, Valerie. They're powerful. And they control everything. They control the cops, the judges, even the FBI. Valerie's stomach dropped. Reynolds, the secure location, it was all making sense now. They wanted to get rid of you, Valerie. They thought you were a threat, a gold digger, someone who would expose their secrets. But why not just pay me off? Why all this drama? He looked away, shame etched on his face. Because they're not just after the money, Valerie. They're after something else. Something ancient. Something sacred. Ancient? Sacred? He was losing her. Then he said something that made her blood run cold. They believe in bloodlines, Valerie. They believe that only a Carter can carry on their legacy. And they believe that your baby is special. That it possesses certain abilities. Abilities? What the hell kind of sci-fi movie was she in? Then he took her hand. His grip, surprisingly strong. But they don't want to share control. They won't let an outsider near it. And that means you have to die, Valerie. But you will be a Carter, and that will make the baby powerful. He paused and realized he had said too much. We can't let them have the baby, Valerie. It has to be stopped now. Before Valerie could even process his words, the door burst open. But it wasn't Reynolds. It was Sarah. And this time, she wasn't holding a gun. She was holding a baby. A tiny, beautiful baby. "David," Sarah said, her voice strangely calm. "It's time you met your other child." David stared at the baby, his face a mixture of shock and horror. What is this?" he stammered. Sarah smiled, a chillingly sweet smile. "This, David, is what happens when you underestimate a why. Beggar." Then she looked at Valerie, her eyes gleaming with triumph. "You think you're special, Valerie? You think you're carrying the Carter heir? Think again." And then she said the words that shattered everything Valerie thought she knew. "This baby, Valerie, this baby is your twin. This baby, Valerie, this baby is your twin." Twin? My twin? The world tilted again. I swear, if I fainted one more time, I was gonna need a full-time nurse. David looked like he'd seen a ghost. Or maybe, his past catching up with him again. "What are you talking about?" he finally managed, his voice a croak. Sarah just smiled that creepy smile again, like she knew something no one else did. "Oh, David, did you really think you could keep everything buried? Some secrets just have a way of surfacing." She held the baby out, like she was offering it up as a sacrifice. "This little darling, she's not just any Carter baby, she's a Carter twin, born on the same day at the same time as the little princess in your belly." My head was spinning. Twins? 2 babies? And what was she implying? Then it hit me. The pieces started to click into place, like a messed-up jigsaw puzzle. The Carters, the bloodlines, the abilities, it all pointed to one insane conclusion. "You mean," I started, my voice trembling. "You mean this is some kind of ritual?" Sarah's smile widened. "Bingo! The Carters are obsessed with bloodlines and special destiny and crap like that. They need a twin sacrifice. They used to kill them in the old days, but now they do things differently." David stepped forward, his face pale. "Sarah, stop it. You don't know what you're saying." But Sarah wasn't listening. She was focused on me, her eyes burning with a manic intensity. "They want your baby, Valerie, but not just any Carter child, a twin Carter child. They need the power of both, so they can do something." Something? My mind raced. Control the family fortune? Rule the world? What kind of crazy cult had I stumbled into? Then the little girl spoke up, her voice small but clear. "Mommy's lying. Mommy always lies." Everyone froze. Even Sarah looked taken aback. "Sweetheart, what are you saying?" she asked, her voice suddenly gentle. The little girl looked at me, her eyes filled with a surprising amount of wisdom. "She's not my mommy. She found me on the streets. She said she needed me to help her get revenge on David." Wait, what? This just kept getting better and better. Then the little girl said something that made my heart stop. "My real mommy. She said my sister was stolen. She said the Carters took her. She said I had to find her. She said she was counting on me." The little girl ran over to me, grabbed my hand, and put something cold and metal into it. It was a dog tag. I looked at it. "Valerie Carter," it said. And right below that, my birthday. "You," the little girl said, pointing at me with her tiny finger. "You're my sister." And before I could say a single word, the room exploded. Not literally, of course, but it felt like it. A section of the wall blew out, sending debris flying everywhere, and standing in the newly created hole was a figure, silhouetted against the sudden light. It was Agent Reynolds. But she wasn't alone. She was surrounded by more agents? No. These people had Carter family crests. "We're here for the children," she shouted, her voice echoing through the room. By order of the family. But there was something else in her hand, something that glinted in the light. A needle, filled with something dark. "Oh God, they can't have you!" the little girl yelled and yanked me behind her. We ran, through the confusion, as gunshots fired. I grabbed Sarah and pulled her along too. I had to save the little girl, and this new baby. We were going to have to work together for this. As we hit the hallway, I realized something awful. Sarah wasn't moving. I turned around. Agent Reynolds was standing over Sarah's crumpled body and looking directly at me. She smiled a very, very evil smile. Game over. Game over! The world went blurry. Again, it was getting old, this passing out thing. But Agent Reynolds, standing over Sarah's body with that evil smile, that image was burned into my brain. We had to get out of here. Now. The little girl, what was her name? Lily? Grabbed my hand, pulling me forward. "This way. I know a secret passage." Secret passage? Seriously? This day was just refusing to quit. But I wasn't about to argue. Not. With the crazy Carter family, the FBI, and apparently a whole bunch of secret tunnels chasing after me. We stumbled through the blown-out wall into what looked like a maintenance corridor. Dark, dusty, and smelling vaguely of mildew. Perfect. Lily led the way, her small hands surprisingly strong. "How do you know about this?" I asked, trying to catch my breath. "Mommy told me," she said, her voice flat. "She said if things got bad, I should use the passage to get away from the Carters. She said it leads to a safe place." Yeah, right. Safe, I'd believe. When I saw it, we hurried through the narrow corridor, turning corners, ducking under pipes, until we reached a heavy metal door. Lily fumbled with something in her pocket, then produced a small key. She unlocked the door, and we slipped inside. It was a library, a massive, opulent library, filled with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, leather armchairs, and a huge fireplace. It felt like we'd stepped into another world, and standing in the middle of the room, surrounded by books, was a woman. Old, elegant, and radiating an aura of quiet power. "Welcome, Valerie," she said, her voice surprisingly gentle. "I've been expecting you." I stared at her, speechless. Who was this woman, and how did she know my name? Then Lily ran forward, throwing her arms around the woman's legs. "Grandma!" she cried. "You came!" Grandma? This woman was Lily's grandma? But that meant... Then the woman turned to me, and her eyes, they were the exact same shade of blue as mine. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just some random grandma. This was my grandma. My real grandma, the one who had given me up for adoption. The one I never knew. "Hello, Valerie," she said, her voice filled with a lifetime of regret. "It's time I told you the truth." And then she dropped a bomb that made everything else, the murder, the twins, the crazy Carters, seem like a walk in the park. "David isn't your baby's father, Valerie. I made sure he wasn't. You see, the baby you're carrying, it's my son's." "What?" I was distantly related? It was crazy, but I could see the pieces now. They needed a Carter to be in charge and to give legitimacy to their power. David isn't your baby's father, Valerie. I made. Sure he wasn't. You see, the baby you're carrying, it's my son's. What? My head swam. My grandma, the sweet old lady with the knowing eyes, just dropped that bomb like it was no big deal. Distantly related? A Carter and related to her son? Who even was her son? And why did it feel like I was trapped in the world's craziest soap opera? What are you saying? I stammered, trying to wrap my head around it. Lily just squeezed my hand, looking up at me with this worried little frown. Grandma, my grandma, took a deep breath, like she was bracing herself for something. David is complicated, she said, her voice low. His father, my husband, was a powerful man, a cruel man. He wanted only Carters in control, a pure bloodline to do what was needed. Daddy worked in logistics. He knew all the ways to move things, people. Lily had told me that. He forced David into this, she continued, her voice trembling. He used my money and contacts, everything, to control everything. He even told David to take the Carter money and make it grow through illegal means. But I wouldn't let him have the baby. I didn't want my great-grandchild brought up with monsters. The words came quickly. I knew the only way to protect you, to protect my family, was to manipulate things. I replaced the baby when you got your shots. She looked at Lily, guilt twisting her features. I'm sorry, Lily. I never wanted you to be part of this. But your mother was right. You needed to find me. This was insane. My grandma had messed with my fertility. I'm carrying a baby from an unknown person, from an unknown seed. Lily looked up at her grandma, her eyes wide. But who's my daddy then? And Grandma dropped the ultimate bombshell, the one that made everything that came before seem like child's play. Your father, Lily, she said, her voice barely a whisper, is David. What? David? I look from Lily to Grandma, then back to Lily. My sister? My niece? My brain was officially fried. Then Lily just crumpled to the floor, sobbing. That's when Grandma said, the worst of the worst. You see, David is my son too. Another secret son? The world was all a blur. Then I went black, just like that. You see, David is my son too. Another secret son? I swear, this family was a walking, talking telenovela. My head swam. Then, black. Just like that. I woke up in a bed, not the sterile room, not the library, a bedroom. Soft light, comfy blankets. Lily was there, asleep in a chair beside me. Grandma was watching me with tired eyes. What happened? I mumbled. You fainted, dear. Understandably so. The Carters have a lot to answer for. Reynolds? Taken care of. Grandma said, a hardness in her eyes. She won't hurt anyone again. But David? The baby? The twins? It all came rushing back. The fear, the lies, the crazy, everything. David is safe, for now. He's agreed to testify against the rest of the family. It's the only way he can protect himself, and Lily, and you from this life as the Carters. As for the babies, there's only one Valerie, the one you are carrying. Grandma took a deep breath. Sarah was desperate. A good actress, but desperate. The other baby, it was not a Carter. All the people who were working with her would receive some kind of help. After the chaos, you could tell she knew a lot, but most of it was based on lies. Lies crafted by the family to try and take everything for themselves. But why? Why all of this? Why me? Grandma sighed. You, Valerie, are the key. The Carters wanted something from me, from us, from you, since the beginning. And now they see that with the baby, there's a chance to turn that dream into something real. What is their great plan? I am getting tired of their secrets. I was getting angry. I stood up from the bed and started walking around the room. There must be something, and now I want to know. I need to know. For the baby, for me. Their plan, Grandma said, her voice grim, is to control the bloodline and ensure only someone who really cares is controlling the seed of the Carter family. This family is really old, and we have things that most can't get. We have the power, and with the baby, we would also have the control. She paused. They need to keep what it is on the family. And with the new baby, everything will be solved. I stared at her, numb. It was insane, all of it. And then, the door burst open. It was David. He looked exhausted, but relieved to see me. Valerie, are you okay? Is Lily okay? He rushed over and hugged me tight. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I never wanted any of this to happen. I'll do whatever it takes to protect you. I looked at him, really looked at him. Could I trust him? Could I forgive him? That night we left. David, Lily, and me, and Grandma. We left Rhode Island in the dead of night, leaving the Carters and their twisted world behind. We were done for good. We were going to build a new life, a normal life, a life where family meant love, not secrets and lies. But even as we drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were still being watched, that the Carters and their endless web of power and control would never truly let us go. What did it truly mean? Everything was going to be solved for them. And most importantly, was I safe with the people that were with me now? Hey you! Yes you! You! Just witnessed a whirlwind of secrets, betrayals, and family madness, but the story's far from over. Do you think you are getting all the secrets the Carters were hiding? Are there more things hidden than the ones that already saw the light? You absolutely need to know what happens next. So here's what you have to do right now. 1. Hit that subscribe button like your life depends on it. Don't miss out on the next chapter of this crazy story and other exclusive content coming your way. You need to subscribe now. 2. Smash that like button. Let's feed the algorithm and show the world that you're Team Valerie. This is the moment to demonstrate your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. What do you think will happen next? Who do you trust? I want to hear everything. 4. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need this insane cliffhanger in their lives. Don't wait ni mais segundo to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel. Don't be left behind. Take action now. The Carters are not done yet. The game has only just begun.